Hello, everyone. This is Charles Clinton from the Heart of Medicine. Today is September 3rd, 2024. And as you know, we share absolutely everything we think that might improve your journey. As you know, my page motto is sharing is caring. So my friend Maureen McCarthy is actually going to leave town today. And yesterday we had the opportunity to take her out for dinner. And in the end, it just was spontaneous. And a friend actually told me, hey, you should actually try to share her story because it sounds like an incredible story. So that's what we did. When we were finishing our dinner, I actually asked her, hey, would you like to share your thoughts for the younger generations? And she was like, let's get at it. So the following minutes will be a spontaneous sort of podcast / conversation with our friend Maureen McCarthy. I need you to bear in mind that Mrs. McCarthy is nearing her 90 years of age. She lives alone. She is legally blind. She doesn't use glasses because the glasses she would need, based on what she tells me, would need a whole lot more of graduation or twerking that we currently don't have the technology for. That's what I understood at least. And she doesn't use glasses, so she's able to see like forms and colors and all that. And even with all those things, she is fully independent in all her activities of daily living. And not only that, she is one of the most active person I know. She goes to church every single day. She sends postcards to her friends in the United States and abroad. She's sent us presents on several occasions. And this isn't just ordering online. She doesn't use the internet. She actually walks to the post office. She goes on bus to Kroger. She does all these different things. And this isn't a limitation for her to maintain this active lifestyle. And guess what? She just published a book, which is found on Amazon. I couldn't even believe it. She told me about the book, and she told me about a year ago, and I thought it was a good idea. And I didn't know if it was going to come to fruition. And she just told me that it is published. And I maybe expected, okay, it's published. Can I see a copy? She told me it's on Amazon. And that's blew my mind. So she was able to she's selling her book on Amazon. And I will share you the link below. You will see it in the description. I believe Mrs. McCarthy is someone to look up to. She's an example. And you will see for yourself. Please comment in the comment section below. And I believe that no better way to actually thank her for these pearls she will be sharing with us and this incredible human being is by buying her work. So I'm not doing this podcast just because I want to help her out selling her book. I do this podcast because irrespective of that, her life's work, her drive, her values are something that humanity has lost to a certain extent. So I believe this talk will help you right there in some way or another. So without further ado, let's go on to the conversation.
And the lady said to me, oh, you just met him by accident in church. And I said, no, I didn't meet him at church. I met him close to the church, but he was walking. And I said, first I didn't see him. I saw one of the dogs. And I thought the dog was so white and so polite. And then all of a sudden, the young man came, and I talked to him, and he said he was only in the country 2 or 3 months at that time. And I said, oh, but then you must be a visitor. He said, no, we're here to stay for a while.
Correct.
And then I said, well, you need to get a job. And he said, oh, I already have one. And then I looked, and I noticed his hands were not the hands of a workman. So I kind of said, maybe you're in medicine. And when you mentioned where you worked, and I named a doctor, I knew the doctor, and the doctor was your boss. That's how we met.
Correct.
That's how we met.
And what was even more interesting to me and to Cuddy, who is helping us over there, is that you met us both on 2 different occasions. You remember?
Yes.
So you met us both on the street. You were walking down the street. And
I always liked your house, and I always told Charles about your house.
Yes.
And
I was decorating with the red bows.
And we talked at that moment, and I met you. And I saw I remember your Irish flag, and I told Charles, like, I met this lady who lives in a house that has an Irish flag. Have you seen it? No, I haven't seen any Irish flags, Charles said. And I was like, you should see it. It's in the street. She's very lovely. And he was like, yeah, but Charles is not good with names, so he like didn't recall your name. But then he told me about this old lady who lives in this house, and I'm like, hold on. This is the same lady I know, and I tell you about. And he's like, no way. And I was like, yeah, that's her, that's her.
So basically we met on different occasions, and then next time we saw you, I think that I you made the connection without us even telling you because you saw the dogs, and I think
Immediately,
yeah.
immediately I knew.
I saw you. I was with the bike,
Mhm.
and then I saw you. You remember? And then I went to your house, and then you always said like I was calling Charles to go to your house too.
And I said, Costa Rica, because I knew the two dogs.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Correct. So what was incredible to us is that most people don't even walk on the street, right? Most people here in Savannah
No.
drive absolutely everywhere.
Mhm.
Almost no one is walking.
And nobody cares
Correct.
to talk. And I always like to talk to people. Yeah.
Correct. And you are nearing your 90s, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're nearing your 90s and you are basically more functional. We've seen that you are more functional than almost every anyone in their maybe high 70s, 80s. So it was very interesting to us, and it has been very interesting to us to see how you are able to do all your things. So tell us a little bit about how dependent you are on others on your daily life. Do you depend on anyone? Or?
When you start saying you depend, I mean, I like people, but I think if you start depending on people, then you lose your own skills and your own identity, and I think you lose a lot of your own independence. I'm one that every day I have an idea what I'm going to do, and I say, these are the 2 or 3 things I am going to achieve today. But in my daily routine, I always plan, I'm going to meet this person, or I'm going to be at church, or I'm going to go to this market, or I'm going to stop in this little coffee shop and say hello to these people because they're nice, or it's a nice place to meet people for 15 or 20 minutes and socialize.
Okay, so basically you have done all your errands on your own,
Oh
basically.
yes, yeah.
So where do you shop? Do you drive? Do you walk?
I walk.
Okay.
Yeah.
You walk, and you also have told me that you use the bus, right?
Oh yes. When I want to go to Publix, or I want to go to Walmart, I take the buses. And now I know what the buses are. But when I first came here, COVID was on, and it was so funny. I didn't even know how much the bus fare was, so I gave the man $1. And then I found out later it was supposed to be 75 cents. So when I asked the man for the change, he said, "No, you have to have quarters. And if you don't have quarters, I keep the $1." And then the other thing was, when I was coming back that first time on the bus from downtown, well, from the market, from the Walmart, and I was looking for a bus that would take me to Jones Street, and everything kept saying downtown. But I was thinking, how would I be in downtown? Because that had looked like restaurants, and it has the big hotel there, and they cater to the tourists. So that's supposed to be more upscale. They're the hospitality city. They're trying to attract people. So I kept letting the buses go by, and then finally, when one bus driver said, "Ma'am, what are you waiting for?" I said, "I'm waiting for the Uptown bus, sir." And he said, "Uptown? There is no Uptown." I said, "How could you have a city that has no Uptown? Everything seems to be downtown here." And everybody was laughing. Oh, God. So I said, "Well, how do you get to Jones Street?" He said, "Ma'am, you can take this bus." "Oh, okay, I'll get on this bus." That's how I learned.
Correct. So by now you basically, because you have told us that you do not use glasses, right?
No.
You are able,
It doesn't help me.
it doesn't help you because you told us that the prescription they're making doesn't get to the level you require, right?
Yeah, because I'm blind.
Okay, so you're legally blind. So tell me, how are you able to manage to do all these stuff? Because you've sent us postcards to our place, you sent us gifts, you send everyone postcards.
You prepare baking soda bread?
You make
Yes.
baking
Well,
soda
but
for your neighbors.
I
So
can do soda bread terrific, because being Irish, I know how to do it just like you with the palm of your hand. So I can always do soda bread perfect. And then when I go to the supermarket, I know the aisle where I need things. And if I can't see the exact thing I want, I either get a staff member or somebody on the aisle, and I say, "Look, here's what I'm looking for." And I know I'm in the right aisle. "Well, could you point to the exact thing I'm looking for?" And then they say, "Well, you have eyes. Why can't you do it?" They get a little annoyed. I say, "Well, I have eyes, but my eyes don't see." And when I say that, then they jump back. I say, "You see, I'm blind, but I want to get," and I name the brand that I'm looking for. And when I say that, usually they feel a little embarrassed, and they go, "Oh yes, okay, it's right here," and they hand it to me, and I thank them very much, and I say, "That's wonderful, thank you for helping me." And then that's how I manage. Then I usually have a nice conversation with people, and then they'll tell me about somebody in their family that's losing their sight, or they say, "Oh, it's wonderful that you're out on your own," or even when I get to the cashier, and I have like a lot of groceries, and I have 2 big shopping bags with me, and they go, "Well, who's going to help you to your car?" And I'm like, "I don't have a car." I'm going to be walking about 12 blocks home with these groceries. And they go, you are? And I'm like, yes. And they go, well, why don't you have a helper? I said, most of my family is overseas, but I'm going to walk. This is okay. Don't worry. I just have to fix my cane in my hand, my pocketbook on my shoulder, and the 2 bags, and I'm good.
So what happens if it's raining outside, or what happens if it's summertime and there's a whole lot of sun outside? Do you just stay at home, or
no,
what
I
do you
just
do?
keep going. You can't let the rain stop you. You can't let the sun stop you. No.
You
No.
told us that today you went to church.
Yes, I went to church
How often do you go to church?
every day.
Every single
because
day.
God is my best friend. And I believe that you pray not only for your intentions, but your family. You pray for the world. I always pray for peace. And then I love to pray for people that are very, very ill, people that are anxious, people that maybe today are going to be murdered. I feel so bad about that. Where there's war zones, where people are maybe in hospice and nobody's really caring about them. I pray also for doctors and nurses to care for their patients, teachers to be kind to the students, and students to respect the teachers. I also pray for dysfunctional families, because I think if you don't grow up in a family that can teach you right codes of ethics or care about one another, and you don't see that, then how do you grow up to love a spouse or to love your children? So I usually, when I sit in church, even after a service is finished, I go through the list of things that are happening in the world, and I just say, I know that I'm missing a lot of people that need prayers today, God, but you know who needs your special help. Please just look after your loved ones, and thank you for letting me be here with you for an hour or two, whatever time I stay. And then I just feel better. I just feel better.
Okay. So you go every single day to church?
Every single day.
And in the past couple months, how many times have you not gone to church due to sickness or any?
I've never been sick. No, never been sick.
You've never been sick?
No.
Okay,
no.
okay. So actually, well, after I met you, I knew that you had gone to my primary care clinic a couple times. Over there, we see most of our patients like every 3rd month. Can you remind me what you told your primary doctor and what you told us about how often you wanted to be seen?
Probably once a year.
Once a year.
Yeah, and I said that's only to say hello, not because I'm sick, because they were saying I had to come and you had to get all blood tests and blah blah blah, all this kind of stuff. And I said I don't believe in that,
Yeah.
because when I worked overseas in Asia and Africa, I never had blood tests, and there was all kinds of big sicknesses there. We had Ebola, we had malaria, we had all kinds of things, and I worked sometimes 18 to 20 hours a day, and I didn't get sick. God took care of me. And I just said, no, I don't believe in wasting time running to a doctor when other people think they're sick or they really are sick. And I think you just don't overeat. I think you just don't think negative. Be very, very positive. Be very cheerful. Thank God for the life you have. And even if you feel a little bit tired, that's normal. That's normal. Don't say, oh, I feel a little tired today. Maybe I'm sick. You're not sick. Get it out of your head. Think really positive. So that's how I feel. And then just be kind to people around you and smile. If you smile, people sometimes will smile back at you. And even if they don't, you'll feel better for giving out that smile.
Do you think people nowadays are smiling less than they did maybe 20, 30 years
Oh yeah,
ago?
definitely. But sometimes I can engage people. Yeah, sometimes I can. Yeah.
Okay. Also, you told me about Ebola and being in these.
In Africa.
In Africa,
yeah.
right?
That was at the hospital I was at. Yeah.
So you also have done a lot to give back to the community. You've been all over the continents, right?
Yeah.
And you told me you also wrote a book.
Oh
right?
yeah, I just finished writing a book.
You just finished writing your book, and when did you publish your book?
It came out in March of this year.
Okay, so can you tell us the name of your book, a little bit about the book, and where people can get a copy of it or buy it?
It's accentuating. Well, it's accentuating the positive, really, and it's based on my work in Uganda, Eritrea, and Kenya. And in Uganda, it dealt a lot with the medical students and the nursing students, and of course some of the war zones. But I was based in a university medical setting. But I mean, Uganda is a huge country, and there were a lot of warlords. So it was a very exciting time, and I introduced a lot of new programs into not only in the community but in the medical school. So I really, really enjoyed that a lot. But then Eritrea was recovering from a terrible war, and I got an invite from a doctor up in Eritrea. His brother was my student, at the university in Uganda, and he begged me to go to Eritrea and help because he said there was nobody with the clinical background that I had. And so I went there, but what I didn't realize is that Eritrea had as its leader a very handsome, you might say, president, but he was trained in China. And he was very, very, very communistic and even very ruthless to some of his own people. And he was confiscating religious property. He was very ruthless. I mean, you had no freedom to say anything. And so that was, for me, how you live under a dictatorship and have absolutely no freedom. And the young people from 17 to 45 were being seized and put in the military. They had no choice, and so many thousands were trying to escape over the desert and over the mountains because they didn't want to spend their life like that. Mm-hmm. And then sometime later, I did go to Kenya and worked there for a while. But each country offered its own challenges. And I was in the Philippines for 3.5 years, and that was very interesting too because that's an Asian country. Mm-hmm. And then I was in the Caribbean for 6 years, and that was very interesting too because while the people are very, very festive and they love to sing and they love to dance, they love to drink, when you have 3 rum and cokes for $1, you have a lot of alcoholism, and then you have a lot of wife abuse. So each place was beautiful people, but many challenges. But as I often said to friends, because they say, you spend so much of your life in third world countries, I said, I would never, ever change that. I learned so much. I have wonderful memories. And I said, I would never, never change to work here and get big, big money and have a lot of money. Better to have the memories and better to have the friends and the patients I helped and just help people make careers, because a lot of the people went into psychology, nursing, medicine, and that I think is very important. Very important. Yeah.
So you left the comfort, right? The comfort and the security of basically being here in the States or being in Ireland or being in these places which were very violent, undergoing a war and very...
Philippines, I was there when Marcos was in power. So it was, you know, the tanks were going through the streets and all,
Weren't you afraid on any of these occasions?
I never really felt fear for some reason, but I always knew that that was, you had to keep your wits about you. And you always had to stay calm because I felt like as whether I was teaching or whether I was in the role like director of psychiatry or whether I was out in a village doing village work, people look to you, especially being a foreigner, look to you for how you behaved and what you said. So you don't want to instill fear in people, and you want to give them some kind of safeguards that they would survive. And I often felt, stay calm and tell them to be recollected so that they could pass through the danger zone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, we just spontaneously figured out about doing this podcast session here with Maureen McCarthy. She wrote a book which we will be probably adding a link here if anyone is interested in buying her work. And Maureen is a great human being, so we're having dinner here. She's going to Virginia now.
Yes.
And I just wanted to basically wrap up saying that we are Maureen's friends from here. And when we figured out she was leaving, she had already boxed all her stuff. She had 72 boxes at home already ready. And how did you go pick up those boxes? Did you ask for help? Did you go on Uber? What did you do?
Well, for the most part, I said, I better go to it and get it done. Get it done. Everybody's busy. But then one friend, she's a Delta employee, and she said, listen, when I have free time, you call me on Delta. And she would call in, like, in order for me, you know, she'd say, Maureen, how many more boxes do you need? And they would come to the house. But otherwise, I'd walk through the street with my boxes, or I'd get on the bus, and, you know, everybody would look at me because I'd get on with all these boxes, and they'd look, and I'd just say, like that, smile.
So Maureen did all this on her own. When we got there, she had everything packed very neatly. No confusion. She numbered all the boxes. Everything was ready. And actually, it's surprising to see Maureen's independence, and this is a testament to actually how young individuals should live. So Maureen's recommendations, I believe, are gonna take you a long, very long journey in life, and she is the living example of a great...
Keep going.
Right? Keep going. So this is the first chapter. We will probably regroup with Maureen in Norfolk, Virginia, correct?
Yes, yes.
And these are the people you need around, and these are the people you need in your team. Any further remarks? Any last remarks?
I would just say, stay positive, stay prayerful, be persistent, be focused. Do not let people give you negative thoughts. Yeah.
Perfect. Don't take no for an answer.
No, exactly.
Right?
And a few good friends rooting for you, but stay focused.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
So that's it, our first episode, and we'll see Maureen back in Norfolk. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Basically,
Thank you.
well, you're incredible, and you can see in the video for yourself.